Hello, welcome back. I'm Jonathan Farley. This is my essential guide for the modern man, and today I have got another eBay find that I'm going to try to restore. So let me just give you a quick guided tour. These are Nubuck Timberland boots with a crepe sole, and got them they were £35, but as you can see, hardly any wear. But the elephant in the room is a couple of very obvious marks. Previous owner clearly decided that made them unwearable. So I thought there would be a great example of different techniques for cleaning suede and nubuck boots. So today I'm going to try. This spot is the main thing that concerns me. If I can clean that spot off, then I think I've won a watch, because everything else is just grubbiness, just grime. That's easy. It's the spot that I don't know what it is. So we need to use several different techniques. As I've said before, if you start with the dry methods, so you've got a suede eraser, a standard nail brush, a suede brush, which has metal and hard plastic bristles on one side and rubber on the other, and a Timberland dry cleaning brush. So there's various options here. Then you go on to the wet things, the wet treatments. This is Omnidaim. Again, it's a Saphir product specifically for cleaning suede and nubuck, and that's actually got solvents and detergents in specifically for suede. So let's get cracking. Start off, take out the laces. Now, you can use, the idea of this isn't to, the idea of these videos isn't to show you what to do every time. It's to show you that there are different sorts of stains for your shoes, your boots, and different treatments for them. And depending on what the stain is, or depending on what the condition is, it's going to need different things. 9 times out of 10 with suede, the dry option is usually all you're going to need. And by that, I mean either marks that come off with a suede eraser, and then restore the nap with a suede brush. But every now and again, you're going to need something with a bit more firepower. So let's have a look. Start off, we're going to use a nail brush and give it a brush all over. Similar to the preparation for doing leather shoes. This just cleans off any surface dirt and means that when you're rubbing the suede, you're not going to rub dirt into the nap of the suede. Now, first thing I'm going to try is a Crepe suede eraser, and let's just start from the heel, and I'll show you here. These little spots. You don't need to rub on particularly hard, because with the crepe you are actually removing surface material from the nubuck. So you don't want to rub on too hard, because you will eventually wear it down to a smooth, shiny patch, and that's really what you want to avoid. So it is a destructive process, not like polishing leather, where you can build up the protection in layers. With suede and nubuck, you are actually removing thin bits of the surface of the material. Now there's a bit there, don't know if you can quite see that, but while I'm here, it looks like something has been spilt on that. If I try and just brush it. That's that's using the coarse side of the Suede brush. And the reason we do it in this order, dry then wet, is very often the dry marks are things like pizza sauce, tomato ketchup, whatever. It's food or material it's food or something that's been dropped on and has dried on the surface. It hasn't had a chance to soak in to the suede. So because it's dry, you're basically lifting off the dried stain. And whereas if you wet it first, you'd be wetting it and potentially massaging it further into the suede, which obviously you want to try and avoid. So, get now this spot. It's like, let's see if that will rub off with the suede eraser. We'll try the whole front of the boot and see how it gets on. Now you can see all these bits of debris that are coming off. That's not all suede. A lot of that is the crepe from the rubber eraser. So don't be too panicky about that, thinking that that's all suede, because it's not. That is actually coming off a lot better. I thought that mark was an oil stain that had soaked right into the suede, into the Nubuck, and it's already faded to, I'm going to say, to an almost wearable state. I'm very impressed with that so far. Again, go around the inside instep of the shoe. Thing about suede and Nubuck is when you clean them, when you clean leather, and it's quite a brutal process. You slop on the saddle soap and you brush it, and you're not being particularly gentle with it, because it's a one-size-fits-all treatment. It's the same thing for every mark on the leather. With suede, because there might be an oil stain, there might be food, there might be a red wine stain, all of these things need to be treated in a slightly different way. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. What I would suggest is, when you're using the eraser, you try to be as even as possible. So you're using it, you're not concentrating just on one area. So if you want to remove a mark on one area, you give a much more broad stroke with it. So it's not looking like one spot is going to be worn away. You want the wear, such as it is, to be fairly even across the surface. Okay, let's have a look. So already, I'd say we are 90% or more of the way there. As I suspected, the minor marks have come off. The nap has been restored. Very satisfying when you push it one way and push it the other. You can see the nap of the Nubuck. The only thing we've got to worry about, the elephant in the room, is this spot there. And as I say, I think we might need to use something a little bit more industrial. Now, the reason I've got my trusty Swiss Army knife here, there's nothing on here that, in fact, there is a little spot. That first thing that I looked at there. Gently, with a very sharp knife, you could use a razor blade or a Stanley knife, but with zero pressure, almost zero pressure, you're basically just teasing the surface. And this is, as you can see, hopefully if I zoom in, it is removing some of the surface material, so you have to be really, really careful with it. But that's really good for individual spots, and that's more for the dried on spots that haven't soaked into the leather. That's for something that's sitting on the surface of the suede rather. Right, what I'm going to do is a little bit of Omnidaim. Now you use this about, you can either use it 1 part Omnidaim to 2 parts water, or 1 to 1. I'm going to use it 1 to 2, roughly, just a tiny splash. It is quite expensive. And I use some warm water there and my nail brush. Make sure your nail brush is clean, because you don't want colour. If you use that on other leather products or something that have maybe a dark brown or a black on it, you don't want that to be transferred onto your wheat coloured Timberlands. So give that a mix up there. And even though, as I said before, even though you're cleaning just one spot, we're going to do the full toe of the boot, just so it doesn't, if it does darken or lighten the Nubuck, then it does it all over rather than just in one spot, which makes it a lot more obvious. It shouldn't darken it. It shouldn't lighten it. That's the whole point of using a specialist cleaner such as the Omnidaim. It's an expensive product. I'm not going to lie. It's about £13, I think, for a small bottle like that. But you don't use very much of it, and one bottle like that will last you a long time. The product does come with a suede brush in it. Looks like a toothbrush. I would bin that straight away because it's pretty useless, to be honest. It's very small. It's great for you know, getting into small areas. It's like a toothbrush size, but if you're quite vigorous with your brushing, the bristles come off, and it's just, it disintegrates very quickly. So that is one pass with the Omnidaim and water. Now I'm just going to use a microfibre cloth to take off the surface moisture so it's not absorbing in. And for the rest of that, I'm going to let it dry naturally and we'll come back and see what it's done. So join me in a little while. Okay, so that's been about an hour, and as you can see, it's dried very nicely. However, it now has, if you can see, these spots that the soap and the water seem to have brought to the surface. That's not unusual with Nubuck, because we can deal with that just shortly, but this spot that was there is now completely gone, which is fantastic. Great. So the way we deal with these surface spots is with the suede eraser, the crepe rubber, and as you can see, we just use the flat part of the eraser, and as I said before, give it an even contact. Don't concentrate on one spot. Okay. And then the final dressing of the shoe is just where we take the coarse suede brush and brush the nap from back to front. So the only thing left to do is to give a quick tidy up to around the edge of the crepe sole. So I'm going to use a little bit more of the Omnidaim and a microfibre cloth, and just run all the way around the edge. Now it's up to you which order you do the steps in. You could do the sole first, and so that you don't inadvertently splash it onto the upper, which I've just done. But it shouldn't matter because it's going to dry off anyway. But yes, you might want to do the sole first. And that is our finished boot. Now, as I said before, you don't need to use all the processes. In fact, the dry processes, the suede eraser and the brushes should usually be enough. It's only when you get marks that are more soaked in, more absorbed into the suede, into the Nubuck, that you need the Omnidaim or some sort of suede shampoo. But hopefully that's shown you how to take care of your Timberlands. Other manufacturers are available, and keep them looking good for many years. So if you like this, please like the video and think about subscribing to the channel, where you'll see more of my essential guide to the modern man. Anyway, until next time, take care. I'll see you very soon.